Hey guys, it's been a hot minute since I've touched this game, hasn't it? I thought I'd get back into it. Don't worry, more Resident Evil is coming up. I am trying to do more of my Let's Plays, get those out there, just do the series. I know I'm not a very big channel and I'm not a very active one, but I hope you guys can understand. I deal with a lot of personal stuff like depression, and anyone who has depression can probably raise their hand right now and be like, I get it, because you get so unmotivated to even play a video game. And I fall back into old games I play, like The Sims 2 and stuff like that. It's like comfort. Those games are comfort. Oh, right, we were on night 8. I don't remember anything. I feel so bad that I don't. But let's get back into it. I kind of remember what was going on. We are on the mystery of figuring out who killed the Anarch Baron. We're playing Julia. We are a member of the clan La Sombra, and we are a representative of clan La Sombra for the Camarilla, since in this version, I believe 5E, the La Sombra are now with the Camarilla. Or some of them, I believe, went to the Camarilla. So, here we are. Trying to remember Julia's voice, huh? Looks like I'm finally about to get some answers. Door is open, and a raspy voice comes from inside.
Get the fuck in, Swinsky.
I smile and accept the invitation. There he is, Kaiser, the king of New York City's information highways. Surrounded by screens, speakers, and newfangled technological gizmos of all kinds. Great. I took a brief second there to check to make sure that you guys could hear my voice in the recording, so let's get back to it. First impression, he's one repulsive son of a bitch. D'Angelo was also a sewer rat. He might have had similar physical disadvantages, but at least he was wholly endearing. With this guy, there's no room for any kind of sentiment. He's inhumanly cold, and I get the feeling he's been like this for ages.
You're getting on my nerves, little lady, and I'm far from being the only one.
I get the sense he meant for all this to be threatening. Instead, I'm elated. After a week of running around like a headless chicken, unsure if I was getting anywhere, finally, I get a compliment. If there's one thing I learned back in Lodestar, it was that you only know you're doing your job correctly when someone powerful gets visibly mad. I have no idea what you mean.
No need to play dumb, especially considering you're a natural. The Arnold, Double Spiral, the SI, Torsten. How does it feel to have made enemies absolutely everywhere?
He scoffs at me with pure contempt.
Listen, I will speak as plainly as humanly possible to get this through your little head, since it's obvious you're not willing to read the obvious signals. You were hired for one thing, and one thing only, little lady. To suck at your job, and you couldn't even do that correctly. People keep stopping by my limo this week, telling me, Kaiser, dear Kaiser, we keep trying to make her understand how hopeless she is, but she just won't get a clue. She doesn't have any evidence, she doesn't have any testimony, but she still goes around knocking on everyone's doors, causing disturbances. It's such a fucking headache. Usually I try not to be a jovial host, so I cheer them up. I tried to be a jovial host, so I cheer them up. She's not that much of a dunce, I say. She's making mountains out of molehills to make herself seem useful, I say. She's about to stop. But you and your infinite idiocy decided to prove me wrong in the most spectacular fashion by knocking on my very door, forcing my hand, threatening me even. Are you autistic or something, huh? Can't read basic fucking social clues. Stop for 1 second and ask yourself, you Bono, who even fucking wants you to solve anything? Let alone this case. See, this city has a delicate system set in place. Usually, it's flawless. Ever since you started tinkering with it, it's been having these irritating malfunctions. And it's driving people.
Are you done? A weird, disgusting sound. Something between a gargle and a bark escapes his throat. What would that even sound like, a gargle and a bark? Like, I don't know.
Unbelievable.
All I'm hearing is that you're in possession of some information that might help me solve the puzzle I was presented with. If that's the case, I'm gonna ask you to share it.
I swear, you're absolutely irredeemable, you fucking garbage dump of a woman. I'll get through all the rubbish in your head to drive my point in. Don't you know who I am?
Yeah, I think he's the one that wired it. Oh, I know who you are. You are the person who had Callahan's place wired, which makes you a possible witness of sorts. Or even a suspect.
Shit. For Christ's sakes, woman. For Christ's sakes, woman, get real. Even if your accusations were correct, then who, pray tell, would you report them to? Do you even know what kind of people I answer to?
No. Care to acquaint us?
Is that really what you want? You want to know who pulls the strings? Give me 10 minutes and I can arrange a meeting. But this is your last chance to turn back. If you don't, I can tell you now you're going to be sorry.
The big kahuna. Finally. Now we're talking.
Yes, the big kahuna. So this is your final answer, huh?
Absolutely.
Unbelievable.
He takes out his phone and begins furiously typing. I relax in the seat. Finally, we're getting somewhere. It might be dangerous, yeah, but at least I will finally get a clue of what's going on.
I'm just saying, this is the point of no return. My boss doesn't fuck around. Best case, you're going to beg him to take you in.
Whatever. He keeps grumbling under his breath, but I'm not even listening. I just watch the streets go by. Until out of the blue, I experience a strong sense of foreboding. I first spot her in the corner of my eye. She's hovering right next to Kaiser with an expression that's impossible to discern. When she speaks, her voice is machine-like, yet otherworldly. Fine. We're 5 minutes away or so. Get the boys ready to give her the Mel Gibson special. Oh, I think that was Kaiser. I thought that was... Okay, was that the shadow speaking or Kaiser? I am confusion! Someone clear that up. Oh well. The moment he puts away his phone, the silhouette disappears.
We're 5 minutes away.
Wait, so does that mean... Am I seeing, like... What was on... Did I hear what was on the other side of the phone, then? Like, someone's like, okay, get the boys ready, so we're gonna get, like, ambushed?
Better start figuring out the ways you might prove yourself useful to the honcho.
There is no honcho. Oh my god, of course this motherfucker is setting me up. I need to get out of here. Now. I do the first thing that comes to mind. I grab the door handle and pull. He notices me scrambling and struggles to grab me.
Hold up, you stupid fucking cunt.
Glass breaking, loud thuds of something heavy hitting the asphalt. Tires screeching. I think he grabbed me. I think
think he tried to pull me back in. I think we fell out of the limo. I think his body cushioned my fall. But I'm struggling to process what's going on. It's like I'm blanking out. And when I come to, he's already attempting to get up, cursing under his breath. The limo has stopped a little further in. Whoever the driver is, he's not coming out. Fuck you. When he stands up, he will be out for vengeance. He's an older vampire who knows how strong he is. He needs something that will give me the advantage. Pepper spray, of course.
Oh yeah, pepper spray on an older vampire. Yeah, sure.
Probably won't be as effective as it would be on a living person. But it's still worth a try. I went towards the asshole, disarm the device, aim towards his eyes, and then load the entire canister.
I'm sure that with the vampire senses, like pepper spray, still probably wouldn't feel good in the eyes.
It worked. It actually worked. I keep up the offensive. I punch him, kick him, throw him around. I pummel him. I smash his head against a curb. I struggle to harm him in whatever way I can, like a frightened animal. I don't know how long it lasts. Might be 1 minute. Might be eternity. The driver steps out of the limo to help his boss. But once he sees what I'm doing to him, he runs away in panic. Feels good. Feels absolutely horrible. Once I'm done, I sit on the curb and scream my lungs out to avoid crying. Then I look at him.
Ooh, I beat you. Oh, he's got a special hanky that's embroidered. Isn't that cute?
He seems shocked, barely hanging on. I know what I've done. It was extremely stupid. I did hear how he's one of the most influential figures in the city. That's probably why he never expected to get his ass whooped, especially by someone like me. When he speaks again, his voice is pathetic, surprisingly close to a whimper.
You'll pay! You'll fucking pay! You lost! Mislaid an abandoned property of a woman!
Whoa, Kaiser, are you like... He keeps like throwing out the fact that like, I am a woman, as though this is like... He keeps just throwing it at me, kind of like an insult. So I'm gonna guess he's a bit misogynistic here. I'm getting kind of a misogynistic tone off of this guy, which in the end, I don't mind beating up a misogynist. I don't.
He is unwell, talking nonsense. I approach him again. You wanted to have me whacked. What? Do you think I'm stupid?
You needed to be taught a lesson.
Well, would you look at who ended up teaching who? Now talk. Tell me everything you know about Callahan's final death. All of it.
Go to hell. You can fuck me up however bad you want. I'm still not gonna tell you shit. You try anything, there will be consequences. There will be retribution. My mouth is shut.
He might be my last chance to solve the case. But if I don't force him to talk, he won't. There's a burgeoning thought in my mind, but it scares even me. Do I dare push him to the edge? Make him suffer until he squeaks? Just...
So, are we gonna go like full evil vamp? And just be like, I'm gonna break this man's fucking mind just to get what I want? Or is this a barrier I won't cross? Like, I'm just not gonna cross this because this is crossing a line. It is crossing a line. I'm basically going to mind rape someone to get information out of them. This is a choice. This is the first choice that I've actually really had to think about in this game here. Because what do I want for Julia? You know, I want her to... I feel like I want her to maintain a semblance of humanity. I don't think she's... I'm not going to cross that barrier. Okay. All of you might be fucking monsters, but that doesn't mean I am.
Big words for someone who just beat up a fucking elder.
I'll still get back at you. I will appeal to whoever I can.
Yeah, sweetheart, whatever. See, that's a good thing about being the lone voice of dissent. It's a mutually beneficial deal. One side gets the unearned moral superiority, the other side gets no resistance whatsoever.
Oh, I will resist. By whatever means necessary.
Spare me. Tomorrow night you will see the compromise that everybody agreed on long ago. Progress is coming like a train. If you want to throw yourself on the tracks, be my guest. I'd love to watch.
Tomorrow night? Why tomorrow? Julia! I look back over my shoulder and see Quater. Quater. Bloody hell, what is wrong with you? Why does he look like that? This is why I didn't want you to get involved. I had a hunch. A hunch that the moment you get a whiff of true power, all brakes will be off. Look, you're talking nonsense. You're out of your damned mind. I should have you in for a potential masquerade breach. So let me explain myself. This ugly fucker tried to have me beaten. Maybe even killed. Don't you care about that?
I have no idea, Sheriff. No idea. She's dangerous. Psychotic.
I will take care of you in a moment. In my car, Kaiser. Hold on. I'm not done questioning him yet. It looks like there's a major conspiracy to... I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. And you're gonna be glad I leave it at that. If you do that, I'm gonna assume you're complicit. That's worth two strikes in my book. You don't want to risk a third. So that's that. Tell me, what was all my footwork even for?
Will we see each other, lady?
Can you hear this? Go home, Julia. What? Go home. Fine. I will. But before I do, I take a quick peek into Kaiser's limo. Still abandoned, a little further down the street. I skipped the church visit again tonight. I want more time to finish this report. Who knows? It might be my final one. I want to spend more time with Dakota. Yeah, just forget about the rest of the world. A lot happened tonight, but I can still manage to be at our apartment an hour earlier than usual. She should be glad. I sneak into the apartment as silently as possible, trying to surprise her. When I reach the bedroom, I see something unexpected. It hits me like a ton of bricks. At the beginning, I can't properly parse the sight. But when I finally understand what I'm looking at, it causes a wave of terror and disgust to swell up inside my chest. What the fuck? She's shocked to see me. Doesn't know what to do. She's like a deer in headlights or a schoolgirl poorly trying to hide her misdeeds from a teacher.
You're early.
Yes, I am. These are my clothes, Dakota. These are my cigarettes. That's my jewelry on the table.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, God Almighty, thought I was just being neurotic whenever I noticed something dreadfully familiar in you. I can explain.
Please, do explain. A good 10 seconds of awkward silence pass. I can see her spending an eternity in her head. This isn't what it looks like. Oh my god. It is exactly what it looks like. I will just come out and say it. Dakota, are you single white femaling me? It all makes sense now. No! Come on! No! I thought I was the leech in this relationship. We watched that movie together. We made fun of Jennifer Jason Leigh together. A roommate stalking and imitating her own roommate. Ah ha ha, what a concept. Right. I was being fed on in a far more sinister way without knowing it. Don't be silly. Silly? I've never ever been this serious with you. So whenever she put on my makeup, whenever I used her as a mirror, she was always hyping me up because she wanted to live vicariously through me. So many little things make sense in retrospect. The little ways you kept modulating your speech after me. The weird ways our tastes were always compatible. Some of your art feeling so familiar. None of it would trigger any alarms by itself, and yet she's as humanly embarrassed as possible. Okay, I'm gonna step in here. Imitating someone that you are jealous or envious of is not... I kind of get, like, this is where... It's never happened to me, so maybe I can't be fully empathetic with Julia here. Because maybe this really freaks her out. I mean, yeah, it'd be freaky. But at the same time, Julia, you're a vampire. Like, what if Dakota really is just like, oh my god, it's so cool. Like, it's not even like, oh, this is how Julia dresses and acts. I want to be just like Julia. I think it's like she wishes that she was the vampire and not Julia. And I guess that grosses Julia out because Julia tells her how she doesn't want to be a vampire. Now she's in this shit with the Camarilla and stuff. So I can see both their sides here. Is what Dakota's doing right by using Julia as a hope to becoming a vampire, basically, and just emulating her? No. Can Julia be understanding of Dakota, though, that she is just human? And yeah, she's humanly embarrassed right now because she got caught wanting, being envious for something she doesn't have. Envy, like, watch ContraPoint's video on envy. If you guys are down for video essays, like an hour-long video essay, it's a trip. It's like watching a movie. But watch her envy video. It is so good, and it's amazing. I watched it a few days ago, and it's like, here it is. I'm seeing envy right in front of me. Anyway, done with my psychoanalysis of this scene. Julia, listen. Don't fucking touch me. I can barely think of anything more repulsive than being put on a pedestal like this. It's like the other person is begging me to perceive them as someone worse, if not outright subhuman. Don't be like this, just don't. You know, this would probably be infinitely more palatable if you talked to me like a person here, and not like, I don't know, your fucking mommy. You know what? Fuck you. I've been locked in this apartment by myself because of all the pandemic shit going on. It's fucking me up. I know you have it hard right now, so I didn't want to bother you. Yeah, I was counting on you to ask about how I'm feeling. Babe, how is your work-life balance? Aren't you feeling claustrophobic? Hey, is it just me or is our drug supply weirdly shrinking too fast? But no, you were too much of a self-centered bitch. You regularly suck me dry, and it's okay. But the moment I entertain the thought of taking something in return, I'm crossing a line. Oh no, I'm a member of an immortal elite secret society. It's so hard to cope. Dakota, whenever I gracefully decide to visit our apartment, let's just do what I enjoy until the pain stops. Fuck you. Fuck you. Sincerely, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. There's nothing you can do but take. And you should have learned by now that just taking won't make you happy, you big dumb bitch. Stop. Just... I don't know what to say. I feel disgusted both with her and myself. Just stop. Dakota breaks down crying. She grabs a jacket and a purse and runs out of the apartment. I don't try to stop her. I stand there for a short while in silence and then lock the door. Did she take her keys? desired for someone else, not for myself. For a way to open a different world, not get locked back in mine. I collapse onto the soft bed. I smell her perfume. I always liked it. But now, it makes me slightly nauseous. I try not to think of Dakota. I think of Kaiser. I think of Quater. I think of Callahan. No matter what I think of, I sense doom. I feel that I've just sealed my fate, whatever it may be. Everything fucking sucks. Back into the void. Back into the void. Back into the void. Well, I guess we have to rest for the night. And then tomorrow, something big's gonna happen, huh? For me, it always starts with an image. An image which might be vaguely eerie or interesting, but usually not an image that would provoke particularly strong feelings by itself. Usually it hides a mystery. That much is correct. But that mystery doesn't exist without a text, or more specifically, a context. Context is everything. One way or another, you need to process what you're looking at. Maybe that context will be something you've heard, or overheard. Maybe, although it's quite rare and pretty special, it will be your very own creative, captivating, complete interpretation. Ghost of an idea. Is this a half-forgotten memory of something unspeakably beautiful I will never ever see again? Just a scene from a movie, a fragment of a music video, an animation, or maybe this really is the last thing Callahan ever saw in his own life. Warm sunbeams caressing his skin and turning it to ash. A giant ball of fire engulfing his body in flame from 93 million miles away. Was he terrified? Was he grateful? There's no will, no suicide note, no nothing. Instead, we can only count on what the local historians will write, presumably letting their biases shape the narrative one way or another. What am I looking at here? A horrible, laughable hall of mirrors. A creep whom I never ever want to see again. A vampire much more despicable than myself. Or maybe someone who loved taking care of me and deserved to be cared for in return. Funny thing, whenever I was high as a kite, mentally lost in dimensions parallel to ours, she was my anchor. Our shared history, my feelings for her, were an anchor. Returning to see his estranged daughter from the other side of the cosmos, from beyond the event horizon, guided by nothing but love. And whenever I got back to planet Earth, for a week or two I was haunted by a memory of that affection. I was the best possible version of myself toward her, but that haunting always refused to transfigure into something real. What gradually took its place were angry, disappointed thoughts, and among them, one thought that I was always trying to suppress. I need someone who'd know how to raise me up spiritually, but all I have is a sycophant who's always working her ass off to lift me up without understanding what I need. It's hurting us both. Having these words pop up in my head hurt me, because they had a ring of truth to them, but also because I knew there must be another narrative, a better narrative. I was just too stupid to find it. Story of my life. Story of my own life. I still have no idea what to think about this city. I had my the best city in the world phase. I had a just a playground for wealthy fucktards phase. Now I'm in search of a better description. One day, probably, I will stumble upon, like a piece of writing or a prestigious TV show, a scene that will contain just that. And suddenly, I will look at this place with new eyes. Or maybe I won't. It's like the frustrations I had back at Lodestar. All these words constantly trailing behind reality, trapping you in useless mindsets instead of bringing enlightenment. Fuck all those flashy writers whose main concern is furthering their own brand. Douchebags who present you with limited, pathetic, depressing realities where they are kings. Fuck them all to hell. We need words that will paint a brighter future before our eyes. What if that can't be done without reinterpreting the past first? What if we haven't even defined the ills and threats correctly? Once again, my thoughts return to the same visual that has been tormenting me for almost every waking moment of this past week. Senseless demise, devoid of any context. A crime scene stripped of evidence. An image created by an unknown artist, designed to leave you dumbfounded. The investigation is over. All the possible avenues explored. All the non-testimonies are in. No concrete evidence found. The play is almost complete. The actor's ready to leave the stage. It is what it is. I failed as a detective. Maybe through no fault of my own. But again, it is what it is. This case, this scene, this picture never needed an investigator. From what I understand, all the people in charge ever wanted was a talented writer. What if a ghost of an idea? When I wake up, Dakota is still not here. I don't know how to feel about that, so I just don't. Waiter hasn't left any messages by the door. Still that mad, huh? He will probably appeal to the court to take me off the case. And if half the garbage Kaiser was spouting is correct, I shouldn't have much trouble convincing everyone. I look in the mirror and stare at my warped non-reflection. This place is upsetting. You need a change of scenery, girl. The depressing streets of a lockdown New York City will do. I think of God. Maybe that's why I have consciously picked the cathedral as my destination. I think of the silver cross adorning my chest, an empty signifier. Whenever someone asks me why I wear it, they hear a different story. I think of these silhouettes that I keep spotting from the corner of my eye. No, I don't even want to imagine what that means. I feel what it means, and it makes me nauseous enough. I think of my clan, so closely tied to the Catholic Church. It's a loveless marriage, so to speak. Like, for example, the one between my parents. I think about the great irony of the La Sombra's truth with the Holy See. We are the only ones who stay so close to the Lord's light, even though we're certain we will never ever reach it. Some of us shadows have visions of comrades who departed this world recently, traveling through some abstract space, one that's disturbing and astonishing in equal measures. They almost reach whatever afterlife there is for our kind, but then get caught and consumed by a dark, monstrous silhouette. The rumor is our antediluvian wasn't stopped by his final death. He's still out there behind the shadows, taking revenge for our patricide, feeding on us like Saturn devouring his children. As Dakota would say, it might not be factual, but it is an emotional truth. From joining the Camarilla to panically scrambling for any safe house. It's like our elders are solely motivated by fear. The sins of our fathers are catching up with them, and it's young kindred like me who are given responsibility to clean up their mess, with the constant sense of doom looming over the horizon. We don't talk about salvation anymore. We're just minimizing the impact of damnation. That's no way to live. But then again, maybe that's why they call it unlife. Shit. It's been a...
Hello there, lost sheep. I'll have you know, the shepherd was extraordinarily patient waiting for you. What are you doing here while the night is so young? Out for blood? Well, you're in luck. This place offers both the body and blood.
Missionaries learned their methods from pickup artists. They would all be like this guy. Not in the mood, you sorry-ass bum.
Step the fuck away from me or you're gonna be sorry. Oh my. Something troubling you? If so, I can arrange a confession. Or if you're in a hurry, keep in mind, the path from inner turmoil begins with a friendly ear. And I've got one right here. Gemina, Toaja. You want me to fuck you up, don't you? Don't you? Julia, as you should know by now, I always interpret this kind of response to preaching the divine as the devil stirring inside. Is that what it is, Julia? The liar and the father of lies got a hold on your soul. If so, give me a signal. Even the smallest one, I'll do my best to spot it. Something swells up inside my chest. I recognize the feeling. My handbrake just broke. Definitely not on level ground. Fuck. Here we go. Listen, I've had enough, alright? Enough. Enough of your sanctimonious attitude. Enough of your brazen lack of basic empathy. Enough of your dumb, ugly fucking monk. Your fucking singularity of stupidity, tastelessness, and cringe. I've met all sorts of horrible shitheads and assheads this week, and somehow none of them got under my skin the way you do, you motherfucker. Like a goddamn Jehovah's Witness going from door to door. Except you're always knocking on my fucking skull. Like, hey, do you know God exists? Have you heard that God exists? Like... Hold on. Hold it right there. When did I ever say that God exists? What? I said what makes you think I believe God exists. Oh, now you're just fucking with me. No, I'm serious. Well, you sound serious, at least. I'm actually speechless. I think there's been some sort of silly misunderstanding that desperately needs to be cleared up. I'm all ears. I sure hope so, Julia. I feel like you must have ignored half of what I've been saying for you to reach these conclusions. That's very well possible, actually. It usually takes 15 seconds when I'm talking to get me completely zoned out. So to avoid any further mix-ups, I will go back to the beginning and explain the core of my religious beliefs, okay? I love the Catholic imagery, I cherish the tradition and lore, I adore the practices, the intricacies of the theology, the messages contained in the Bible. Of course I do. Does that mean I believe that one day I will see the big dad in the sky? Forgive me, Lord, but I don't think so. Doesn't sound very likely, especially for a bloodthirsty creature of the night. So, that's what this is about? Fun imagery? That's overly simplified, but yes, I suppose you could say that. Motherfucker, you ain't Catholic. You're just a weirdo cosplayer. Says a non-practitioner who still wears a cross. Yeah, but I don't shove it down people's throats for fun in my spare time. I'm simply trying to share the joys religion has brought to my own life with others. What joys? Oh, where to start? When there are so many. The joys of having plainly understandable rules to follow. The joys of having a structure to your life. The joys of always knowing where to find people who share your values. Above all, it's the joys of being an aristocracy. Okay. How to take a sip. Above all, it's the joys of being an aristocracy, surrounding oneself with exquisite, luxurious architecture, beautiful classical music, ornate rituals formalizing our actions and relationships. A pursuit of virtue separating you from the masses, the hierarchies, the communities, all serving an idea greater than themselves. It's like monarchy or some Camarilla traditions, but not as... God. Goosh. Goosh? So that's what it was. You saw pretty paintings and buildings and thought, hell yeah, I went in. And then you just decided what they mean to you? Don't get me wrong, it's real faith that brought me to the fold, but eventually I whittled down this religion to its core, to what interests me. Unbelievable. I don't think for a second I wasn't empathetic when I was trying to convert you. You are the embodiment of existential despair surrounding us, The one that people usually try to drown out with drugs, sex, work, Netflix? Pick your poison. All of them. Temporary copes. Empty yourself. Kill your ego. Get a routine. Join a community. Ground your morality in something tangible. Start perceiving yourself as part of something greater. All of it good advice by itself, but codified in an appealing, otherworldly aesthetic. One that keeps the beast at bay. One you're almost fitting into the way you are. What's there to hate?
Unbelievable. You're a goddamn lunatic. He looks to the sky.
Father, forgive them. They know not what they do.
Stop that. Your entire ideology is just aesthetics. You fucking loon.
And how exactly do I differ from anyone else nowadays in this regard?
Stop arguing semantics.
No, you stop. Just look at yourself, a privileged burnout who refuses to invest herself in anything. Only started committing to anything when for once in your own life you were forced into a politically charged, dangerous task. Once it's over, you'll be back to being an aimless brat.
The desire to murder increases.
Ever since World War II, I've been watching every person and every ideal I care about wither and disappear. That's the source of my pain. That's the reason I am what I am. The source of your pain? A thing that defines you? People have been mean to you.
Fuck off. People in third world countries keep their heads high while suffering from every sort of horror. But you have a complete mental breakdown every time you remember you have mommy issues.
Wow, classy.
Oh, don't act like you have the high ground here. You oblivious sadist. All I'm saying is, everyone has a different framework, a different lens to view their suffering through.
Yes, and if there's one thing abandoning your humanity should have shown you, is that kind frameworks are not enough. Petty vendettas, childish romances, pointless power struggles, the dumb gamble that's chasing a successful career. Mommy and daddy issues, sure, why not? Pain and pleasure dictate everything. Everyone wants something bigger than this. They want to escape from this drudgery. They want psychedelia, but permanent. They want to stare at God's face, even if he does not exist. And you can show them how. Accept the cross you're wearing in your heart, into your heart, Julia. Accept it.
Creepy fucker.
Just accept it.
All right, that will be enough, Benet. The mood changes in an instant. What if Father Leonard takes us both back?
Father, what are you doing here so early?
You two are arguing so loudly, I had to come out and check. Even if with all the panic on TV these days, simply walking outside feels like marching into a war zone.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You should be. I was willing to turn a blind eye to your quirks, because I believe you have your heart in the right place, mostly. I'm very disappointed in the way you approach folks in need. Right now, Benet Seagull is displaying all the confidence of a scolded teacher's favorite.
But I was just trying to guide her, to set her on the right path.
I know, Benet. I know. That's the problem. The sacristy is open. Please head there right now. We need to have a long talk. Get me some coffee if you wish.
But, Benet.
He slowly slinks away, looking defeated, deflated, debased. A burn from moment into my retinas, etching on my soul. Kind of hoping I'll never have to see him again. And this is how I'll remember him. Father Leonard watches him closely until he disappears from sight, then turns to me. I feel sorry for him. I keep hoping he might find some basic empathy through faith, but all I've done thus far is let him leave you at the end of your tether. Yeah, that's some faith he has. Are you okay with all the bullshit he's spouting? I don't exactly support it, but I don't reject it. It's like attrition and contrition. Imperfect and perfect repentance, you know. One is focused on a relationship with God, the other selfish, focused on personal gain. But both of them work. Yeah, but doesn't this strike you as completely missing the point? A bit, but purely secular takes on Christ's teaching are nothing new. Pascal's Wager is a boring example, but have you by chance read Bulgakov's Master and Margarita? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing things, guys. Sure. Back in Poland, every teen trying to look intellectual online loved to repeat that joke about the talking cat who swears he'd never pour vodka for a lady because women deserve pure alcohol. That's one takeaway from that novel, I suppose. I read it as a moving depiction of Christ, who was not a divine being, stripped of mythic qualities but open for transcendence. Jesus and Satan understood as powerful forces battling within us. Would have to read it again. It's been too long. Sounds nice, though. I stretch lazily and take out another smoke. Leonard. Is it Leonard or Leonard? Leonard, that's what I'll call him. Watches me closely before speaking up again. Julia. 4 hours from now, there is going to be a meeting in the Elysium. The big finale of Celebrations of Power. Everyone will be there. But they were counting on you to not show up. The good sheriff plans to present the results of the investigation in your stead. It's a simple, crude strategy. Might work, but begs to be countered with an outrageous tactic. Take it as you will. The game is about to end. Okay, so is this like fourth wall breaking? It's letting me know I'm at the end of the game now. This game wasn't very long. I've played like 9 hours, so like a 10-hour game, I'd say. 10 to 11. Momentarily, I'm left dumbfounded. All I can muster is an elegant... Oh, don't ask me. I'm just the messenger. Who relayed this message to you, then? A good friend. A cautious friend. Wouldn't be able to tell you more than that, even if you forced me to. Well, shit. This is the moment that might decide the rest of my days. What would you do in my place, Father? When I was faced with a dilemma that would shape the rest of my life, the world felt too big and scary and impossible to understand. So I simply escaped from that choice into the seminary. Yeah, if that's your idea of good advice, I'm gonna have to ask you to shove it. I would expect nothing less. Don't you regret it? Regret what? You're kind of shady, but don't seem like a bad guy. Still, you have to accept the people above you are responsible for some horrible things. If our superiors' acts count as our own sins, then on the face of it, probably half the people in this world are irredeemable. Clever, but not a real answer. And being a low-level grunt for assholes you find wholly objectionable is no way to live. I don't know, is it? Finish the smoke in silence. I have to go. Don't know if and when we'll see each other again, but when that happens, I probably won't be the same old me. Of course, but before I leave to scold Benet, let me say one more thing. Yeah? These are difficult times. My parishioners keep calling me. The things people are going through. They might never admit, but if this keeps up, it will cause horrifying, invisible damage to this nation. A dreadful darkness is killing us all, little by little, and like every powerful evil, it manifests itself little by little. And yet, sinful as it may be, I confess to being strangely excited. For a moment, we're seeing this suffocating normal disappear. This is the time to dream a new world is possible. Walk these empty streets, Julia. Remember how the city feels right now. Bask in its shadows and uncertainties. After the apocalypse comes the great rebirth. The Amici Noctis awaits your next report with great curiosity. I give him a nod, and I sprint away. Now I know what I must do. Hey, Moon, my lone constant companion. When I moved here for good from, the old country, you were the only close friend who kept me company. Never felt in the right place back there. Never felt in the right place here. Especially now, when I'm not quite alive, not quite dead, not that Slavic, not that American. But maybe it's about time I finally carve out some space for myself.
It's been a long road, hasn't it? Wish me luck.
Whoa, Julia! I catch him in front of the art hole because, of course, he had to be the first person I meet there. No way. No. I'm gonna be the laughing stock of the entire city if I don't show up to the resolution of my own investigation. How about you demonstrate a modicum of courtesy? Courtesy. Girl, I should put you on trial. Can't guarantee I eventually won't. You messed with Kaiser, the eminence gris of this city. Did I say that right? Just correct me if I didn't. Beaten him to a pulp like a random goon. He will do everything he can to destroy you from now on. And my bet is, he'll succeed. Whatever will be, will be. For now, at the very least, I'd like to show the court I'm not a baby fledgling who can't see a task she was given to the end. You're making a huge mistake. How did you even learn this meeting is happening in the first place? Maybe I'm not as trash an investigator as you thought I was. I never said, but you're showing it. That's not a fair assessment. I wanted to finish this whole mess myself, for your own good. It would be nice if you asked what I think next time. I'm actually pissed off you tried to pull this off without me, but I'm not letting it show. Counting on being able to guilt trip him into submission. This deep sigh of resignation proves that my tactic was successful. Fine, but you will stay quiet. The whole time. No tricks, no ifs or buts. But of course, this way, we step into the maw of the gallery. The celebrations of power are almost over. Everyone is back to their usual respective styles again, looking wary of each other's company, trapped in their own little worlds. And the art hole is nearly empty now, and Quaidar is gently strong-arming the last remaining nobodies into leaving the premises. Eventually, only me and a select few New York Camarilla VIPs remain. Alright, Carter. Miss Swinsky. Barely made it, huh? The asshole with a glued-on smile spots me first, and he's just as authentically enthused to see me as ever. So he finally showed his face around here. I wasn't sure if you'd join us tonight. Carter made this meeting sound like a one-man show. The preparations took me a bit longer than I thought they would. I apologize. Are you, by any chance, planning to surprise us with something? Well, if I was planning something, it wouldn't be a surprise if I told you now, would it? Can I have everyone's attention, please? We're about to begin. Everyone remaining in the building gathers around Quaidar. Ah, exciting. Is everyone present? Present. And accounted for. My prince. Yes, before we begin, let me welcome an unusual guest to our fold. She gestures toward a corner from behind, which emerges a silhouette that would have never ever appeared here under normal circumstances. Name's Torque. I'm the Baron of the Bronx. I was delegated here by my compatriots as an oversight authority. I'm here to observe the results of the investigation. Nothing more, nothing less.
Let me stress this one last time. This is a one-time occurrence, meant to alleviate the tensions in the city, not a symbol of mutual recognition. Not in the slightest. I peek at Addison's face to get a feel for how a hardline loyalist might grapple with this arrangement. His expression betrays no surprise, only a slight discomfort. If even he is fine with it, the prince must have been extremely convincing about the necessity of a temporary truce, or about some Machiavellian tactic she's got ready up her sleeve. Who knows? Of course, we might have irreconcilable differences,
But there are times they have to be temporarily put aside in order to quell unrest and open paths for constructive, meaningful change.
If anyone would like to voice their concerns, the time is now.
Torque, Arturo, and Panhard exchange glances. Normally I consider it an innocent gesture. Knowing what I know, I roll my eyes. A stick or a carrot, Torque? What made you break and sell your compatriots? How much do you really know?
If not, Queta.
May I? He steps into the middle of the room and clears his throat theatrically. First, let me plainly state that the conclusion I'm going to present is by no means my own achievement. It is a result of tireless investigation conducted by a talented kindred I won't name here. A telling glance in Torque's direction serves as a second explanation for why he refuses to call them by their names. And of course, Julia Sawinski, whose ceaseless groundwork over the past few nights served as a foundation for the findings that are about to be revealed here. Thank you, Julia. Not the first time he sets out to oversell my achievements. As the sheriff, my role here is mostly representative. I spent the last few days overseeing the celebrations in Elysium, making sure no harm would befall anyone present. Luckily, none did. Looks like the prince's decision to move forward with the event was the correct one.
And for that, we should extend our thanks to Queta, and let's not overlook our guest to a degree.
I managed to convince my key allies that diplomatic action is the only way forward in this case. No matter how wrong-headed the enemy can be, we still need avenues to negotiate and communicate. I'm curious now how Tamika would react to him looking like a corporate bastard, designing the future order, dismissing potential for change that lies in unrest. No wonder she dumped him. Spare us the empty pleasantries and let Queta move on. I don't have all night for this. Right, I'll be concise. Douglas Boss Callahan's remains were found in his office by one of his ghouls, first thing in the evening. The first kindred to confirm it was another Anarch Baron, Torque, present here. A mystery book author would refer to the circumstances of Callahan's death as a classic closed-room mystery. The metal door, locked from the inside, served as the sole way in. There was no murder weapon, no useful testimonies, and the evidence was, how do I put it, barely circumstantial at best. What was left for us was one hell of a puzzle, one where the answer couldn't even be approached by using the tried and tested question, Q bono. We were presented with a poorly timed power upheaval, a tense situation where a long-planned celebration was in danger. Suddenly, all of us were faced with an uncertain future. Everybody benefited, yet nobody did. No one was especially fond of Callahan, but it's not like anyone seemed particularly keen on removing him from the equation, especially at this time. For a moment, we were sure this was the beginning of an offensive on the part of the Camarilla. We started wondering just how violent our retaliation should be. And as for us, we were momentarily convinced that the Anarchs were plotting to blame us for their own internal power struggles, a tense situation, resolved only thanks to skillful and swift diplomacy. Dare I say, yet another victory for our talented prince. Julia made sure to examine all the contacts Callahan might have had in his last days, in both sects. Her efforts were tireless, and only rarely misguided. He just had to spit out the last one biting remark, didn't he? Well, he's probably just covering his ass. But as exhaustive as they might have been, they only served to muddle the possibilities, not explain them. Callahan had a lot of enemies, but they were the most infuriating kind of enemies one can have. Folks who barely ever thought of him anymore. In other words, no one really had a particular interest in getting rid of him because they could always simply work their way around him. Just before last Christmas, he even witnessed the first ever successful First Light raid against his extremely profitable blood trade supply lines. the lone ace up his sleeve, a downright shady ability to perfectly maneuver all around all SI activities gone. Callahan's decline was apparent to all, and a domino effect made his empire slowly crumble. Up until recently, he had done an admirable job keeping up with the times and getting away with murder, but suddenly, all of the prison spotlights were on him. The recent stories we hear about him all depict a depressed, downright manic recluse lashing out at everyone, struggling and utterly failing to fit into the new reality he found himself in. A closed room, no evidence of struggle, a lack of strong why-done-its, the corpse being found in the very early evening hours. The conclusion is simple. Callahan's final death was self-inflicted. Suicide, to put it in simple terms. Silence has filled the room. So, wow. That really is the angle they'll be pushing, isn't it? Let's hear it, Sheriff. I will explain. It was an independent detective who first set me on to this theory only last night. There is no suicide note of any kind, of course, but the message our recently departed has sent might not have necessarily been a verbal one. The particular thing was the position of the body. It was like an arrow pointing at us to notice something. It appears the last thing Callahan saw in his own life was a portrait of one Lord Castlereagh, the second Marquis of Londonderry, which is coincidentally where Callahan was born. To most, he was a rival traitor, a heartless suppressor of all dissent, the main threat against each rebellion the Irish have gone through, successful in all ways with those that matter to his people. Some call him a tragic figure, holding together as selfish allies against a common threat, always fighting for painful and unpopular compromises, ruined by overwork, sickness, and poor public speaking skills. Not hard to see why Douglas Callahan... Oh, sorry, I thought it was Quaterstone. Not hard to see why Douglas Callahan would emphasize. Light snickers. Indeed, especially when you realize that the sickness in his blood, his failures, the hatred from his own people, and a growing paranoia led him to commit a dramatic suicide within his own four walls. I see. The assumption is, instead of stabbing himself to death with a knife or a pen, he decided to let the sun embrace him in its warmth. Castlereagh's face burning into his eyes, a poetic final death. It's not a closure we might have wanted, but probably the best explanation of his motivation that we're going to get. Does everyone follow? A heavy silence fills the room. Nobody speaks up. Except Prince Panhard.
To me, it's all perfectly understandable, agreeable, and most importantly, it fits the man I've come to understand over the last 2 decades.
Consentment murmurs resonate through the room. Agreed, and I might add, there were some irregularities in the handling of the crime scene, but the Anarch leader's findings suggested Callahan's resentful ghouls were to blame. Folks have been real happy to see him dead, is all I'm saying, and they went overboard with the celebrations. They've all been interrogated, though. Yes, I have received all the resulting intel, and it's done nothing to change my mind. Their depictions of Callahan's state of mind only serve to support the suicide theory. It is my suggestion that we all announce these findings to our respective communities first thing tomorrow night.
Sounds reasonable, and I think that concludes this meeting. I'll let the Keeper of the Elysium do the honors.
No time wasted, huh? All right. Does anyone have anything to add? Any questions to ask? Take your time. Silence. I look at everyone just sitting it out in perfect agreement. Congrats, everyone. Congrats us. We've achieved a perfect victory. No loose ends. No rocking the boat. No nothing. Makes you want to puke. How many of them contributed to this final report? How strongly does Quater believe the shit running from his mouth? He's always been a Camarilla loyalist. A fanatic, even, but
Miss Julia, any final statements?
This is it. Now or never. If anyone can blow this pathetic charade wide open, it's me. But there's no coming back from this road, and it has a cost. I've spent all my life and unlife on social climbing, and the sunken cost fallacy is kicking in. Challenging them here might be my only way of ever making it out of the pit I'm in. On the other hand, maybe this is my time to head into the unknown, kill my ego, at least temporarily, shut up the voice of the elders screaming in my head, betray my La Sombra instincts, make all these ghosts go away, and figure out something new, no matter how scary it might be. Do I dare? Or maybe I don't. I feel like there's an incredible prize to be won, waiting right in front of me. If I just dare to take out this revolver with its single bullet I have hidden on me. And invite everyone here for a crazy game of Russian roulette. But I also get this foreboding gangster movie feeling, like this is the scene where the future mobster could have gotten out, but he didn't. In the end, did Callahan think all the splendor of the golden era was worth this pathetic end? It's like there are two selves battling for dominance inside of me. One of them has to die. The other gets to live. Honestly, it's a flip of the coin. I reflect on all the kindred I've met, lessons I've learned, choices I've made over these past few nights to make a decision. And then, feeling like I'm simply following the way I conducted this investigation to its logical conclusion, I respond. No, nothing. Quater has done an excellent job of summing up the entire case. A barely detectable tension in the air disappears. This was the first time they might have had to reckon with something I said. But luckily for them, turns out they won't. I'm so confused. So me choosing all those past things made me less La Sombra-like? I thought it was like a humanity thing. Maybe I was wrong. Oh, now I'm sad. I should have totally effed up that Nos dude in the beginning. I kind of regret my choices now. Oh well. I guess that's why they want you to play through again so you can see what would be the other ending. But this is my ending, so this is mine. I picked my choices. I picked what I thought was right. So this is who I am reflected through Julia. I am not a La Sombra. I never really claimed to be one, though. Well, looks like that's all, folks.
Yes, looks like it.
Excellent. Might I be going now, then? Places to be, kindred to see. Took the words right out of my mouth. You can see it in some of their faces. Everyone is happy.
Samira, will you escort Mr. Torque out? Me and Thomas will have to appease Mr. Payne for disrupting the sanctity of the Elysium.
Certainly. Right this way. Tomorrow night, we're back to being enemies, of course.
Of course. Isn't that just what you wanted to hear, Addison?
Oh, spare me the condescension, Helene. During the commotion, I'm approached by Quater. He looks me in the eye and makes a show of exhaling deeply. I have to go and see everyone back to safety now, but thank you for not pulling any stupid tricks. I really appreciate it. Who did you think I am? Someone else. And I apologize for that. Sometimes you just see something and completely misinterpret it. We'll think about how to handle the future, particularly the Kaiser issue. Tomorrow, alright? Sure. Looking forward to it. He pats me in the back with a short, awkward smile. See you then. Everyone slowly scatters, but I just sit there, keeping eye contact with the only person here I still have some unfinished business with. The art hole should have its doors closed now, but nobody considers it weird that I'm staying. After all, the only person that is still accompanying me is the Keeper of the Elysium. Aren't they a happy bunch? All's well that ends well. People are we're getting nervous, like you really had some good cards to play. You're a poker player. Occasionally. It's a very socialite thing to do. Played with Jennifer Tilly once. I love Jennifer Tilly. I love that reference. Heart. Jennifer Tilly does like poker. Must be easy to keep a poker face with, you know. I know. It does help. And you do seem to know a lot about the cards other people are holding. Like all great games, poker does share some principles, lessons, and necessary skill sets with real life. I take out another smoke. This conversation is bringing the tension back, like two fencers carefully looking for a hole in each other's defense. I found a file about you in Kaiser's car. Seems like he's worried about you. The only unpredictable variable in his equations. Ah, see, that's the one card I didn't predict you drawing. Speaking of not predicting something, when I was waking up tonight, I didn't expect a good friend would provoke me into coming here. Who might that have been? A lot of people in this room had an inclination to act friendly towards me in any way whatsoever. Sure looks like someone made a risky play. Even great players make dangerous plays sometimes. You know why? No idea. Boredom. It's boredom that gets to you. Even when you love the game, there's always this fear that it might turn into a perfectly predictable series of optimal plays. Time to make a play that might not seem optimal at the moment then. A direct attack. You're not really Catherine Weiss, are you? I don't know who else it could be. Let me phrase it differently. Then, you're not Katrina the Wise, the agitator of Prague, a Bruja elder causing turbulences all over the world, are you? She laughs. That file must have been pretty thorough. Kaiser knows what he's doing. That's why I'm afraid of what he might do to me to get revenge. Rightfully so. Maybe I'll help him out in exchange for a favor. Sniff out a Lassam or a meddler. Strike a partnership. Promise to keep each other in check. And that was a joke. It wasn't very funny. And just so you know, I've made precautions. It was a bluff. Honestly, I expected more reaction. Kaiser's documents. Did they mention anything about Ostrava? They say that's where you were born, as Hannah Arbronova. Was unlucky enough to immigrate to New York City at the perfect age, and with a pretty accent approximating that of Katrina. Honestly explains a lot. Quater told me that Aisling once organized a blood hunt after Catherine, Katrina, that she was both a liability and too intertwined with the city's history to give up on her. The solution, you were deemed the best possible compromise by all parties involved. The particulars aren't really described. It is theorized that blood magic was used. Maybe flesh crafting. I do remember a few images. Her accomplices, Brace, Christoph, the man who caught me, apologizing that the others broke my jaw, as if he wasn't to blame. Violent brainwashing. But what's done is done. I might not be a Katrina the Wise, but I'm definitely Catherine Weiss now. I feel as good about the situation as I probably can. She's the brooding Batman, and you're the fun-loving Bruce Wayne. Zorro and Diego de la Vega. Something like that. A debutante who sleeps a lot and parties a lot, only has to do something unpleasant from time to time. Do you hate her? Sometimes, but I mostly pity her. I've come to accept my fate, and I don't even feel much trauma when I see my jaw in the mirror the way she does. Some big pig broke hers centuries ago, and she still relives the assault every time she catches a glimpse of her own face. All that power, all that reach, all the appearances. Still, not enough. Don't get me wrong, but is there a point to all these questions? Oh, there definitely is. I think it was reading your file that made me ultimately decide against turning this investigation upside down. Was it now? An immigrant from Eastern Europe comes to New York City, takes the position she always expected to find herself in, is molded into someone who is no longer herself. The story struck a chord. I felt like you were maybe, ever so slightly, pushing me to follow your way, to lose myself in a position of considerable power. I could see Julia Sawinski sharing Hanna Urbanova's fate. To be honest, it scared the shit out of me. Catherine shakes her head. Funny. Ostarva is just 15 kilometers away from Poland's border. I know. I think I've been there once. When I was a kid. Parents love to travel. Who doesn't? She takes my smoke, turns back, takes a deep drag, and returns it to me. All of these long-established organizations, with time, their practices always degenerate, start draining everything out of the participants' turn into a cycle of abuse aimed at no one in particular. But the funny thing is, if the victims aren't allowed into positions where they can perpetrate the abuse, they feel the abuse is aimed specifically at them. There's no winning move here. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I think you're making excuses for yourself. She desperately tries to stop it, but she laughs. Sounds a bit like a harpy screaming, but it's strangely endearing. I take a drag of the cigarette she took from me earlier. Maynard grade schooler excitedly informs me it's an indirect kiss. Okay, now she's Hannah. Let's walk outside. I need to close up shop. Dawn is almost here, and we still need to talk about how to get you out of Kaiser's grasp. I nod and follow her to the street. So, I hear you've been living with a human. Yeah, it didn't work out. Oh, and why is that? I don't know how to do this. Do I dare to call it a sisterly bond? Seemed to happen. Oh, I don't know how this. And I know it can't last beyond tonight. But I'm savoring every second. Turns out she's been single white femaling me. I don't follow. Come home. I find her wearing my clothes, smoking my cigarettes, pretending to be me. The creepiest thing in the world. So you find that pretending to be someone else is the creepiest thing in the world? I see how it is. Oh, piss off, that's a low blow. Why would she do that? No idea. I just yelled at her and saw her running out. She's probably back home now, I hope. No, I don't. I don't know. I know it looks bad, but maybe you should just, ask her why she did it, and then make an informed decision. What are you talking about? That would be reasonable. I don't do that. She loses herself in thought for a moment, visibly torn whether or not to tell me something. This might be Ekaterina speaking, but I was thinking about you two in Carthage. Everyone is arguing with her about that name. Some people claim it was too much historical baggage. It's a myth. It didn't work. It was still vampires take advantage of humans. But it's still a beautiful dream, and you two are like the embodiment of it. You mean that apocryphal story where Carthage was not destroyed because Romans were greedy for land, but because kindred and kind coexisted there in harmony? That's a pretty deep cut, How long ago were you embraced again? I've been reading a lot to catch up. The inner journalist / former copywriter in me still refuses to die. Again, it might as well be Ekaterina speaking, sending you to die for her pipe dream. But that's the best option I can think of to get away from here with a goal in mind. Listening. Head for the anarch-free state of California. Look for a man called Giles. If you're alone, you might have to do a lot to prove yourself. If you're with your friend, you might have to do a little less. If you succeed, you will be able to fight for the noble cause of establishing New Carthage. It's hopeless, but no matter what tough act Vader is putting on, it's still better than waiting for Kaiser to act. Might as well give it a shot, and then see what's next. Thank you. Don't thank me, you idiot. I'm sending you to the West Coast to die, just so you're not here to blabber about me to Kaiser, and so that I can please my boss. Now scram. The sun is almost up. Sure. Thank you, nevertheless. Even if just to piss you off some more. Anything else I should know? I don't exactly know how practicing you are. Not even Father Leonard knows, but in our hour of peril, keep St. Jude, the patron saint of desperate cases, in mind. I'm not even religious, I mean, really, but in my darkest hour, someone told me to keep in mind, and maybe I wouldn't be here if I didn't. Yeah, I know of St. Jude. In happier times, Mom used to joke he was the patron saint of her sex life. I see. Fellow Catholic guilt survivor, huh? That classic Eastern European upbringing. I'm not admitting to anything. Stay safe, Catherine. And thank you. See you again someday, somewhere, Julia. Although, probably not. I wave at her for the first and probably last time, and leave the Elysium behind. Hey. Hey. She's sitting on the bed. It's obvious she was crying before, but is trying her best to hold up. Where were you? I was, finishing my big investigation. She sniffs. So, how was it? I fucked it up big time. Didn't even put up a fight. Don't tell me you expected anything different. I did, actually. You used to be a shining example of an investigative journalist. Maybe I never felt comfortable being an example. The wince on her face proves that got to her. I'm not happy with who I am. Jesus, you're really copying me in every damn respect, aren't you? Fuck you, I'm being serious. I know. I'm not trying to be an asshole, or rather, trying not to be an asshole. We really are two leeches who got stuck to each other, huh? Like a two-person human centipede loop or something. An Ouroboros. Or an, Mobius strip. I got lost in my own metaphors. We take out another smoke and slowly decide what to say. You're extremely good-looking, kind, endlessly energetic. You've got a steady job as an artist, and an even steadier influx of cash. Why would you want to be someone else? You're extremely good-looking, clever, talented as fuck, immortal, and eternally young. But you still have that horribly deep well of self-loathing within you for some godforsaken reason, and it fucks me up as much as it does you. Probably. Yeah, I get it, but single white female? It was an impulse. It was the first time I did it, I swear. I didn't know what got into me. That timing was just... fuck. Maybe I just wanted to see if I can be a better you than you. Dunno, maybe I need therapy. But I'm tired of looking for the kind of therapy that feels like it works, and is not just brainwashing me. She might be lying, but I don't want to believe she's lying. I choose to believe she's not lying. What do I have to lose? I think I want to give it one more shot. She raises her head. Do you? Yeah, I think I do. There's one condition, though. She shoots me a cold look. What condition? I told you I fucked up my investigation, but not how badly. Well, looks like I'm no longer safe in New York City. I need to run first thing tomorrow evening, and only way out I see is a bunch of loons living on the West Coast. We're trying to bring about a utopia where humans and vampires could coexist. It's probably even more dangerous than staying here, to be honest. Not to mention how dangerous it could be for you. And I haven't even figured out how we're going to get there safely, but yeah. I'm beyond tired of sitting on my ass, collaborating with monsters. This is the first page of the second chapter. This is a lot to take in. I know. But I think I'm in. I know I'm in. You've got a future. You've got rich parents. You don't have to do this. In case you missed it, having rich parents is like a goddamn, I don't know, original sin in my book. I don't want to coast on their money. I want to try doing something that fucking matters. Are you certain? About as certain as I am that the deep state exists. That's good enough for me. I'm off to sleep. The sun is probably already up. I'll pack up your clothes. What for? Are you planning to unleash Dark Dakota on me again? Don't say anything. As I said, trying not to be an asshole. It's a process. The day went by, and I woke up just like any other night. That was the first surprise, Dakota. That was the first surprise. Dakota following through with the plan was the second. We're leaving the city. I don't know about her, but I'm kind of hoping it will burn the moment we leave. Fuck all these out-of-touch, psychotic assholes who murdered Callahan and partied on his grave all week. Fuck the opportunists who couldn't even seize the moment and do what had to be done. Fuck this temple of Mammon, where truth is impossible to find. Fuck the Bronx. Fuck Brooklyn. Fuck Queens. Fuck Staten Island. And fuck Manhattan. Fuck Manhattan in particular. Okay, I'm done. I'm probably gonna try to stop at motels, drink from truckers and hitchhikers and whatever. Exciting. We'll be like a pair of serial killers prowling America's highways. Remember Near Dark, that nomadic vampire movie? Of course I do. Is that what we're planning to do in the Midwest? Maybe. Maybe not. We'll improvise. It just hit me. Won't the motels and such be closed because of the virus, though? Shit. I don't know. I think about that. Bear really should have robbed a bank and just paid the circulatory system goons to smuggle us to the West Coast. Oh, whatever. It might be fun. Remember, you'll be the one paying for everything. I don't want to expose myself to anything. And I don't want to expose anyone to anything. I've seen enough shit talking online about the exodus of New Yorkers who are probably spreading that thing all around the country right now. Gotcha. We should wash the car, I think. And you'll be disinfecting yourself before any time we touch. Okay, that's just being freaky. And maybe you should wear a mask. Nope, it's the land of the free and the home of the brave. I guess. Hey. Yeah? You love me? Of course I do. For now, at least. I still don't know if I love her. Or if I can even love anyone for that matter. I'm a fucking monster after all. I don't even know if it'll exist next month. The prospects are not looking good. But although I can't even see myself in the rearview mirror right now, I will remember this image of us leaving the city. Somewhat melancholic and somewhat hopeful forever. And maybe the meaning of this image will be clarified with time. Or maybe I will just force a more positive description on it. And that is what I'll believe. No matter what happens, even if the oceans of blood lie before us, I will make this a cherished memory. Whatever possible salvation still remains for me, it probably lies in the eyes of another. Apparently I got the bad ending. That's the achievement I just got. Hit my keyboard. I just got the bad ending, apparently. That was the bad ending? I don't think that's a bad ending, though. I kind of like that ending. We don't know what's happening with Julia or Dakota. We don't know what's next. They're going to the West Coast, and I think it's super cool that they're still together. They worked through the issue together, because I feel like if I did attack the Nosferatu dude, they would not have worked through that together. Overall, I think I did the ending I wanted, and sure, call it a bad ending, but I actually really liked that ending. It was kind of heroic and romantic in a way. That's just how I feel about it. So thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed my playthrough. Yeah, this is gonna be a long one. I just wanted to get this done out of the way so I can focus on Resident Evil, and I'm happy I finished it. So thank you for watching. Please leave a like. Please subscribe if you want to see more from me. Leave a comment if you enjoyed this, or if you want to correct me on any pronunciation mistakes I made and want to tell me the correct way to say it. I would appreciate that. And as always,
Maggots love you, but not as much as I do. Love your malicious corpse. Maggots love you, but not as much as I do. Love your malicious corpse.